9 ISV solutions working together in conjunction from the same org. We call this the Business Optimisation Demo. This is going to be the theme, the overarching story of the presentation. We're going to start with a business that struggles. We're going to identify the pain, how we can resolve it, implement it, and ultimately produce better results. So let's take a look at the company we're working with today. We meet the CRoads Bank and the team of personas we're going to be inhabiting throughout different stages of the demo. Let's start with the problem. What's wrong with CRoads Bank? Well, in short, the business is underperforming. The deal cycle is simply just too long. It takes too long to close a deal. They often leak out of the quarter or the fiscal year, and sometimes even result in the loss of revenue. Deadlines are often missed, and simply put, this cannot continue. Also, it happens despite the fact that CRoads recently invested in new technology, a new CRM system, and even hiring more people. So our first persona is the CEO, Cynthia. Her ask is simple. She wants visibility on what's going on to understand what the problem is, then ultimately resolve it. She wants to boost revenues so the company can hit its targets, but she doesn't just want to throw money at the problem, which is the smart way of doing things. Don't work harder, work smarter. What she wants to do instead is to make sure she can fix the close-loss ratio and the time it takes to manage opportunities, so she can regain a better ROI from the technology she just invested in and the people she just hired. So, using Salesforce, she produces reports for these results and passes it over to Sandra, our sales manager, who's going to take this information and begin the change management project with InsightBoard. InsightBoard is a performance analysis platform. It integrates natively into Salesforce, so as you will see from Samuel's ClickMap presentation. You will be able to take all the reports that are passed to you, in this case from the CEO, and expand and drill deep into those results to understand exactly what's going on. In addition to this, the intelligence engine within InsightBoard's community allows for automatic suggestions to be made on how to improve this performance, what to change. It can produce training materials, guides, end goals, milestones you set to improve the behavior of your team and produce better results. These results can be tracked in InsightBoard, monitored, and rewarded through custom challenges, custom rewards, and gamifications to keep motivating your team to reach these targets and ultimately celebrate and reward them for achieving to do so. Samuel, do you want to take us through that clip back real quick then?
Okay, as you can see here, we're on the home page of Salesforce, and you can find the InsightBoard component with 3 different widgets. We have the collaboration wall, success board, and documentation, and we're going to drill down into leads management. This opens up InsightBoard where we can find metrics around leads management, business excellence, process compliance, and so on. On top of these metrics, which allow me to understand my performance and the performance of the team, you can also find documentation, which can help salespeople skill up and train. And the company can provide all of these different courses and materials within InsightBoard. Finally, you can jump into one of the communities. For example, here we have sales representative community. And your managers can set challenges for the sales reps to achieve. For example, we have a bit of gamification here. You can get rewards and points when they achieve certain tasks.
Awesome, great stuff. Thank you, Samuel. So now we have a target. Now we know what we want to do and where we want to get to compared to today. But the human element is only half the story. The other half is the technology. Before I can implement change, I need to make sure that my resources have access to the right technology that doesn't get into their way, but gets out of their way and does the hard work for them. For those of you with a sharp eye, perhaps spotted that in the very beginning of the InsightBoard piece, all of our reports and metrics indicated one thing, that our opportunity life cycles are too long compared to our lead conversion, which led us to believe that there is a problem. We're qualifying low quality leads that result in low probability opportunities. We spend too much time on them, which demotivates the team, and we need to fix This is where Pete, our product owner, comes into the picture. So Pete receives this information from Sandra, and he needs to look into what's wrong with the technology. Why do we have such low quality leads? Why are we qualifying them so quick? And what's really going on? And how we can change this? And furthermore, what is going to be the impact? That's why Pete is going to use Elements Cloud. Elements Cloud offers process and impact analysis. It allows you to visualize every single process you do in your business from the first step to the last. So you have a comprehensive overview of what is going on. You can also understand the impact of changing anything in this process. You replace a field, you update an object, you update an automation. How many other areas of the business is it used? What is the impact of that change? What is the domino effect that can occur? And how can I avoid any potential conflicts? The goal is to inform the business to make the right decisions based on real data, so you can implement change without the fear of breaking anything into production. Not only that, but you can also create a priority list of requirements, because if I understand the complexity, and if I understand the impact, I know what's my most complex item, what's my least complex item, what's my highest priority, what's my lowest priority. And I can create this in a list of priorities that I can potentially pass to the developer. So let's take a closer look at how this looks in practice.
So here we have Salesforce, and within Salesforce we're gonna go to a particular lead. And from within Salesforce you can access any process related, for example, to leads. And I click on that purple information icon, and I can open my Elements Cloud processes related to leads. Going to open that into a new tab, and here it opens Elements Cloud. As you can see, we have this particular process diagram, and from here we can drill down into more detailed processes with different notes around it. We're interested here to look into the user stories. So here I've mapped my user stories related to my process. For example, here you can get more information about this particular user story that eventually you would get into Jira for implementation. And here you have more information about the actual user story. Related to the user story, you can find risk assessment, so you can document the risks that you find off the back of this user story. You have impact assessment, complexity assessment, and you can also see dependencies. For example, as part of the user story, you must identify that a particular Lightning component is involved, and from that we can open a dependency tree which will show us the dependency in a much more visual way. So here we have the Lightning component, and we can start opening the tree, see all the other components that are related to it that could get impacted by our changes.
Thank you. So as mentioned in the opening, this is how I can go from a completely blind top-level view of my organization to down to the very niche subjects, so I understand the exact complexity of even of the smallest change. Now that I have that in mind, and I have a list of requirements, I understand the priority, I understand the risk, I understand the complexity, I can mitigate that risk, but I also have to do something about it. I actually have to implement the change now. That's where Dave the developer comes in, and Flowsim. Flowsim is a native development management tool for Salesforce that we're going to showcase 3 features for. The overall concept here is ease of use, automation. Everything you see in this segment where we implement the change is all about saving costs, resources, and money. Flowsim allows, through its branches, to take all those items you just saw in Elements Cloud that we took from the process and created a list of requirements, a list of change items we need to implement to improve our business, and translate it into development items that we're going to create and ultimately deploy and validate so it can make its way into production. This is what we call a development pipe. And unlike most customers today who have to rely on using spreadsheets and loads of manual resources, Flowsim allows an average level admin to do this from an easy to use interface automatically and on a schedule. So you can prepare for it and you can anticipate it. And if anything goes wrong, an easy example, I'm working with multiple development teams who work in the same area of business, on the same Salesforce object. Let's say the lead in this demo example. If they're implementing two different changes that conflict with one another, Flowsum will know automatically. It can reject the change, or it can automatically resolve it by taking those differences and merging it together to a single change, and then publishing and protection together. So Sam, I know you guys work with Flowsum pretty closely, so let's take a closer look.
Okay, so here we are looking at the Flowsum app within our Salesforce org, and you can find the different environments that we've set up and the different feature branches, some of them related to the user stories that we saw previously. Let's jump into a particular branch, where we can see a state diagram. We can see where these changes are right now. They were in a branch and they were merged into a target branch. So for example, from a developer sandbox into the UAT sandbox or SAP sandbox. And different things I can do here with the branch. I can merge it. As Simeon said, Flowsum allows you to merge feature branches into the environment branches and do everything from the UI. So here you can select an existing branch. It will do a comparison of both branches and show you all the different items that changed. And if there are any conflicts, you can resolve them from here. Other things you can do, once you deploy and merge your pipeline, for example, you can go to your target branch. Here you get a very clear picture of the status of the branch, and you can choose to run a particular pipeline off the back of it. You can define your pipelines, and every pipeline can have different steps to it. And for example, here we have a pipeline that would validate and deploy these changes on what is in this branch to our production environment.
Thank you. Now we're getting into the powerful synergy between solutions. You can see how we not only created comprehensive reports to understand what we need to change from the business, but we have immediately adapted those requirements automatically into a set of changes we can handle internally or outsourced for development. At this stage, what you need to envision is effectively there's three areas. The development area, where development happens naturally. The testing area, where we validate things we can move forward, and production, where we give the hands-on experience to the users. While Flowsum is great for automating and scheduling things at the same time and money, there's one other criteria, which is quality assurance. That's where Pete comes back into the picture. Pete wants to ensure that Crossroads Bank not only gets the project done on time, but they get the best value for money. They get the best quality code possible and best quality work. And as Sam will show, Qualitas integrates with Flowsum directly and can perform what we call automatic scans. In practice, what it means is in the background you set up a set of quality standards. And if anything doesn't meet those standards, Qualitas will know. You can automatically pass anything that meets the standards, fail something that falls below it, where you then can set up bridge criteria, where you can decide, okay, I just want a notification, and I decide if it can pass, or maybe go back to the developers. And everything is recorded in reports and dashboards. So in the end, we will also show you how this goes against a performance metric for development resources you work with. This is great if you outsource work or if you're working with a dev team for the first time.
Let's go back to our branch in Flowsum, where we can find a tab for code quality. From there we can jump onto Quality Cloud. As Simon said, you can trigger your scans, you can define your environments, Salesforce environments or repositories, and from each one of them you can trigger scans manually here, or they can be triggered as part of your pipeline as well. And then as Simon said, you can find this in your dashboard. So Quality Task provides a dashboard like this one, where you can find information about the state of quality of your code in your different environments and how that translates into technical depth. You can see how it's evolved over time, how much configuration and customization has been done in that particular org. And then depending on the rules that you define and the severity of them, you can get a clear idea of where most of your issues are by rule or impact area.
Awesome. This is incredibly powerful because it helps me make informed business decisions. Do I want to keep working with these set of developers? Do I have to step in and maybe ensure that quality is improved? Can I identify who's my top performing team and what lessons other teams can learn to do better work? But development and quality assurance, while they're very important, there is one even more important component, which is testing. One of the biggest reasons why so many customers are adverse to change is the fear of something going wrong. The fear that something is going to happen that messes up production, messes up the day-to-day, gives a negative experience to end users, and damages the business. That's why testing is incredibly important. And that's where Crowbar comes in. We switch back to Dave, our developer, who's now going to take all of the changes, all the improvements we want to make for our business, and actually try to get it into production through testing it and validating it that we've reached our objectives. Crowbar has a simple philosophy. Testing should be as simple as it is to use Salesforce, meaning that once again, we want to lower the barrier of entry for any user to get comfortable doing these processes. You don't need an expensive resource. You don't need extensive training. It's a pick up and play solution natively from the Salesforce interface that should be familiar to any Salesforce user. All the tests through Crowbar can be run automatically and on schedule, reducing the time and manual labor. And they're also unbreakable through Crowbar's unique technology. And everything that happens, any pass that fails or passes, any item that makes its way into the production, causes issues, or goes fluently, goes into powerful reports and dashboards for analytics purposes. But since Crowbar is your hometown, Sam, I'm sure you can tell us in way more detail how that looks like.
So again, we go back to the branching blossom because sometimes DevOps is that single piece where everything fits in. The same way that we found Quality Cloud in Code Quality, we can see a related list of test cases related to my particular branch. We can see each one of those test cases that we define in Product Manager, what type of test type it is, so functional testing, API testing, unit testing, and when was the last time that it ran on each one of the environments, and what was the result. I want to go deeper into one of those test cases. I'm going to switch into Product Manager. I'm going to search for the create lead test case. As a tester, I'm interested in defining my test case, doing the design and implementation. If it's a manual test case, I can define my test steps here so I can go through them later. I can also check when was the last time this test case was executed in each one of the environments, how long did it take to run. And as well, I can relate my test cases as we saw to branches, but we can group them in test suites. We can see all the executions, defects related to it, risks, and metadata components related to it. I'm going to go into a particular execution that failed. So in my SIT environment, I have the information here coming from Automation that this particular test case failed. And then I can drill down into the actual defect that I have here. And from here, I may want to push this back into Jira where my developers are working so they're aware of this issue happening. Finally, I may want to get a more high-level picture of what's happening in terms of testing in my org, and I can go to one of the dashboards where I can find information about the pass rate of all the testing efforts that we're doing on each one of our environments. For example, we can go to QA and get just specific information about it. How many tests were run, what types, who ran the test, who answered, and how many defects we found.
Thank you, Sam. the halfway mark. Using these solutions combined, we're able to implement every single change we identified at the very beginning of the demonstration to improve our business. I want to pause for a second to dial back what this really means for a business leader. What is it in actual business value? Roughly, on average, this reduces your time and effort by 60%, which effectively cuts your costs in half. This is through the power of the Salesforce platform, keeping all these solutions under one umbrella and working together in harmony and synergy. But as I mentioned, we're only halfway through the journey. We developed the improvement, but now we have to use it. The way you have to look at it is effectively you built now a first-class sales engine, and you have to fuel it with data. Sales data that drives your business, in the case of the XRoads Bank. And then it's where Dun & Bradstreet come into play. Sandra, the sales manager, now wants to make sure that they make the best use of this tool that they developed and changes they made in Salesforce. So she's going to rely on D&B as a vendor and their industry-leading solutions. Dun & Bradstreet are special because they combine 3 areas of business that they all do excellently. They provide access to high-quality data, they have excellent applications on the AppExchange, and they also offer first-class service. What we're going to focus on in the demo are 3 areas: Connect, Scan, and Hoover, which I promise is not a vacuum cleaner in this particular context. Connect gives you access to 400 million high-quality sales records across 1,600 data points. Effectively, this means that if you're looking for prospects in any industry globally, they will have access to it. Scan ensures that if you already have some of this data in your system, the lead, the account, the company, the contact already exists, you identify it to make sure you avoid duplicates. And this is also true moving forward as you use D&B ongoing into your organization. It effectively ensures that you're always up to date with the latest information, the latest contact details for that prospect. And of course, Hoover offers a filter criteria, which means that, let's say, for the sake of this demo, if Crossroads wants to find a prospect in the trading finance space who operates in the UK and the US, like Refinitiv and on the stock exchange does, we could definitely do so. So in the honor of our hosts, Samuel, do you want to take us through how we can create a lead for LSEG for XRoads Bank?
Yes. So let's say I'm a salesperson and I want to create an account of Refinitiv. You can just come here, click new account, and it will redirect me to DMB's dashboard where I can search for the account. And this instantly I get the one from the States. I'm going to search for native. You can see there's a lot of results in here, but I'm going to bring in this account from DMB into my Salesforce instance. It populates all the information accurately, everything that they have. So I just click save. So that way, instead of creating an account with just a name, I can actually have information that I know is correct. Let me refresh. You can see here that we've matched with the information at DMB, and we should see here a component where I can see much more information about the company just from within Salesforce, and I can also decide to maybe go to DMB and bring in some of the leads and contacts. So in this case, I'm going to choose a different company. And I want to bring in some contacts that maybe I talked to, but I don't have all the full information about them. I just want to make sure. And I was speaking to James Devon. So I want to bring this contact to Salesforce. And check if it's there already, and how it should be mapped to either a contact or a lead. duplicates. And I can either create a new lead or a contact for an existing account. It knows that I already have the account, so I could just relate it as a contact, which is for this purpose. Okay.
Perfect. This is obviously incredibly powerful because I can not only define the company I'm looking for in territory, vertical, company size, industry, but I can also drill down into the stakeholder. Do I want to talk to the VP of sales, the CTO, maybe the chief operational officer, whoever is the best possible prospect for me, I can have access to it. But now that we're solving the issue that pained Crossroads, which is the lead generation, and we have all this high quality sales data entering into the system, we have to take care of another very important area, which is security. You have to make sure our data is secure because there could be dire consequences for not doing so. And that's where Pete comes back into the picture. Pete is going to use seed data to plant what we call data seeds, or effectively fake data into the system for data protection. How this works is that every time a fake email address or a fake phone number is being contacted for a phishing scam or shows up on the dark web or in a mail campaign, you automatically get notified so you can respond. And in these security breach situations, every second counts, so this is of tremendous importance. I want to show us how easy it is to do that in practice now.
Yes, so CData has an application that is installed in our Salesforce org. And from here we can see how the different seats can map to our records. So we can create seats for contacts, accounts, leads, and so on. And for example, we can see here we are populating seats with email, name, and website. And within our seat manager, we can create different seats, which is to plant fake data within our org so that if ever gets leaked, they're monitoring those specific email addresses and information and would alert us. So I can create very easily a new seed. And then I can plant the seed. So for example, an account. And then if CData ever finds that particular information leaked, I'll get an email like this one with an event detected, the email received to a seed, so we will get a threat alert if they ever find this out in the open.
Thank you, Sam. So, now that we took care of security, it's time to take care of business. And with that, we're going to go with Ryan on Sarah's wrap, who I think has my old haircut as well. And we're going to finally start taking advantage of these solutions we implemented to drive actual return on investment by closing deals in a better fashion. We're going to use Vonage, the best-in-class enterprise-grade telecom solution for Salesforce and one of our most valued partners. They have a number of extremely innovative solutions that enable sales teams, service teams, or any employee who has to do direct customer interaction to do a better job and succeed at their workplace. In this instance, we can perform hot lead alerts and territory assignments automatically. A lead is created through the integration with Dun & Bradstreet. So the moment I create a new lead, that is assigned to the correct rep based on scope, size of company, industry, region, whatever metrics I use to assign my patches. Once they have their hands on the lead, Vonage guides them through the entire sales cycle. It provides pre-existing guides for new starters, reminders to set up introduction calls or follow-up calls, renewal conversations, deal closures. It provides notes that they can take or take advantage of when having the conversation itself. And even it recommends best call times based on real-life industry data. Vonage goes one step further and actually makes the phone numbers dynamic. So it changes my dial code to match the region of the person I'm calling to increase the chances of them picking up the phone. Once the conversation is happening, conversation analysis, transcripts of the conversation, even screen recordings available, so I understand exactly what happened. This is to understand, why am I succeeding or why am I failing? Why is a rep doing well? Why is a rep doing worse than others? So I can support them moving forward and try to standardize that performance across the board. And all this real life data through using Vonage and sales enablement in this instance goes into real life performance reports and dashboards that are extremely segmented by territory, top level business region, or even down to the individual reps themselves. So let's start the business conversations by showing it on screen, Samuel. I believe you're going to call yourself as well, right? I hope you put it on vibrate.
So here we're looking at a lead. Now we're looking at a lead, which is actually pointing to my phone, and you may not see it. Let me actually resize this.
Yes, what Samuel is going to show right now is that Vonage is so deeply integrated into Salesforce that the actual call dial appears within the opportunity or the lead or the account itself. So the rep literally doesn't have to leave the environment. They can perform the action from right there.
Exactly. So on this lower bar, we can see a phone utility where I can make a call.
In rehearsal, Sam actually called somebody from London Stock Exchange, so let's try that today. But it shows that Dun & Bradstreet actually puts their money where their mouth is.
Just don't wanna call the wrong person, so. You can log the calls, you can also take notes as you're taking the call. So here you have an utility to input your call notes, and then you will get a task automatically created with information about your outbound call. You can see the number, you can see how long he was talking for, the duration, and also they have a processing thing going on where they analyze your call, they can create a transcript, they can give you some analytics of the back. And finally, you can use dashboards, standard dashboards, to analyze all the activity in terms of calling out. So you can see the best times to call, the success rate of the calls, and how it links to the revenue by sales rep, quality of the calls, and so on. So obviously you can leverage Salesforce dashboards of the back of all the data that's been captured.
Thank you, Sam. And now, as you can see, things are starting to come together. We fixed the problem with data quality and the process of lead generation and conversion. We're maximizing the potential of our business through utilizing Vonage to guide and motivate our sales reps. We start building towards the reports and dashboards you now just saw from conversational analysis, which then go into the rewards and gamifications initiatives we started setting out with InsightWord in the very beginning of the demo. So we're getting closer step by step to achieving our goals of better performance. But there's one important step missing, which is, as I use Vonage to manage the conversations with my clients, what happens where I get to the end of that conversation? And I actually have to close the deal. I actually have to retain that revenue that provides my ROI. That's where DocuMotion comes in. So once again, we're sticking with Ryan, the sales rep, who's managing the conversation with the client, and we get to a crucial stage of negotiation and agreements. DocuMotion is our industry-leading partner for enterprise-grade document generation. By far, they are the most sophisticated solution if you have complex documents, and of course, they offer a single click or complete automatic document generation. Order templates are dynamic, so you can switch between languages freely. Your rep doesn't have to think about it, they just press a button. And equally, if you have to switch terms and conditions out of your contract, specific clauses, depending on what product you sell or market you're selling into, it does it for you automatically as well. In fact, it has interactive features where your customers can interact with the document and even provide you with an alternative person to sign, as sometimes a mere point of contact may not be the document signer. And it can even update Salesforce back So once we get the signature, we immediately see it in Salesforce that we won the deal. So let's take a look, Samuel.
So here we're working off the back of an opportunity, and it still needs some information. We just want to make sure that the contact information we have is accurate. So I'm going to send a request for details. It's going to send an email to my inbox.
And as Samuel pulls up his inbox, you could see that DocMotion has updated the opportunity progress to negotiation immediately, because we have begun the process to request somebody to review this document, potentially negotiate it on price, because it's going to be a quote, and then of course sign it as well if they agree with it.
So I get an email asking me to review my information. Just make sure everything looks okay.
This is where I could name a potential alternative person as a signer.
Okay. So I got my change information. If I look into Salesforce, we'll see that the information was updated. Now automatically gets into the contract to be signed.
As you can see, Samuel has nerves of steel when it comes to negotiation.
Like any sales rep, just refreshing the page to see when they sign.
I thought that's how you pull steel.
Here it is. So I got another email from XRoad Bank asking me to sign the contract. I believe you can customize the whole thing. You can customize it, the clauses you want to use, videos, and so on. You can see the contact information, the different products and terms and conditions. Agree to terms and conditions. I don't know what I'm buying, but okay. Teresa would probably hold up in court. And then I can select all the services, I believe, and we can capture everything in Salesforce project.
So the moment Sam signs, if you go back to Salesforce and refresh the
So I
page.
need mortgage.
Well, I'm not the one generating the contract. You should talk to the bank. Opening hours are 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. 2 hour window.
Yeah, that's it.
I think if you go back to Salesforce, we can also check out how the opportunity is updated to close the one.
Let's check that. Oh, here it is. Just refresh. I should get the contract attached here as a file.
Go.
So, this one.
Nice and easy. So now we secured our revenue. And we showcased all 9 of our solutions. But there's one final thing I would like to mention as we get back to our top level stakeholders, Cynthia, the CEO. And perhaps this is the most important thing I want to say, that the story doesn't just end there. We demonstrate a very powerful capability where a handful of stakeholders, literally 5 people, using Salesforce, can go from 0 to a complete 180 shift in their business. We demonstrate that everything is an easy user experience, and we produce powerful metrics and increasing ROI and reducing costs and that level of effort in the process. What I would like to really highlight is that now that our business is performing better and that we're using these solutions, all that performance goes right back into the beginning where we started, where we can once again go into Inside Board and create a report to understand, have we met those metrics? How many of our reps achieved those rewards we set out? And then we can continue the process of business optimization to the next quarter, to the next year, always improving our business. And that is really the ongoing return on investment you're getting within the Salesforce ecosystem using Salesforce partners. It allows Cynthia to not only resolve the original issue she had, but every single time to go through this process to do even better and better and better and better to perform at the full potential of her business. And with that, I would like to thank Sam Arroyo from Provar for conducting the demo and probably signing up for a 20-year mortgage, probably.
Well, the interest rate is
Oh, just before the crisis, so you know, you got in a good time.